Hey guys, what is up and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be continuing our champion comparison series where we look at two champions that are very similar in terms of, their abilities, animations and all that stuff, and talking about what makes that champion good and which one's better for various scenarios of endgame gameplay, and kind of getting to the bottom of which one of the two variants of the champion overall is a little bit better to give you guys, a bit more knowledge when it comes to playing these champions and ranking them up. So today we're going to be looking at Wolverine versus Wolverine X-23. Two absolutely fantastic champions. They are both really top tier champions, and we're going to explain a bit about why that is and where they have their uses. So to put it very simply and to give you kind of a brief comparison of the champions. So the classic Wolverine has much better synergy bonuses, and with his duped ability can have multiple stacks of regeneration, and also the regeneration that he does is increased based off of his power. So he's considered the more, I guess, stable Wolverine because you can get a lot more healing off him. However, X-23 is geared a lot more up to dealing as much damage as possible, and her damage in comparison to Wolverine is significantly higher because of all the abilities and crazy stuff that she has. So in terms of stuff like, if you're looking at doing Realm of Legends and having a very reliable and sustainable champion, Wolverine is probably a better option. Also, if you're doing like Alliance Quest, great champion for that. If you're looking to just get stuff down really quickly, have a ton of fun, grind out arena, just have a champion that gets the job done really quickly, then X-23 is the best option of that. So one of them, the classic Wolverine, he's kind of your healing Wolverine, and then X-23 is your damage, all guns blazing Wolverine. So let's talk a bit about some of their abilities. So we're going to start off with the classic Wolverine and the kind of cool stuff that he does. He's quite a simple champion, doesn't really have much going for him. So his passive ability, his signature ability when he's awakened, again allows you to have multiple stacks of regeneration, and then the higher you get your signature ability level, the more health you will recover based on your current power levels. So that's a pretty cool addition to the champion. If you are just in a map where you just need as much healing as possible, you can just stay at 3 bars of power, and then just get this bonus of health based on your current power. So on all attacks, Wolverine and X-23 have exactly the same regen. The only difference, as mentioned before, is that Wolverine, when he's awakened, can get multiple stacks of it. So when he's attacked and when he deals damage, he has a 14% chance to regenerate up to 8% health over 4 seconds, and this again is based on your stored power. So Wolverine and X-23 getting the most out of the regen is all about having, the maximum power level possible. Again, exactly the same regen mechanic as X-23 will have. Now, critical hits, this is quite important to bear in mind the numbers on this bleed. So the critical hits on Wolverine have a 66% chance to inflict an 80% bleed. 80% of your attack bleed, which lasts 5.5 seconds. Now try and keep those numbers in the forefront of your mind to really see how much worse this is in comparison to X-23. So that is it. Again, the special attack 3 has a 100% chance to do an 80% bleed. Nothing too special, you get the same on a crit, so you're most of the time with Wolverine you're much better off using a level 2 ability, or either storing your power to get the most out of regen. But yeah, Wolverine synergy bonuses, as mentioned before, are really great with Magneto, Cyclops and Storm, one of the strongest synergies in the game. Now let's have a quick look at X-23 and some of the abilities that she has. So she also has much higher base PI than Wolverine, which in some circumstances is good, but overall none of the champions have like super high PI in comparison to some of the more top tier ones. Now, let's look at her signature ability. So this is pretty crazy in terms of increasing the champion's damage output overall. So anytime the opponent either has 3 or more stacks of of bleed, or the X-23 has 3 or more stacks of cruelty, her assassin training kicks in, granting her a increased crit rate and damage based off her signature ability level. The range is anywhere between 5 and 15%. Now, this is just really good because it is up pretty much 24/7. You are almost always going to have 3 or more stacks of bleed on the target, or 3 or more cruelty stacks. It's a very fast-paced champion to play, so this is going to be almost active. Well, I'd probably say realistically 70 to 80% of the time. It's got a really high uptime on it, so just a great kind of like almost passive bonus for the champion to have. So, as mentioned before, guys, the regeneration on X-23 exactly the same as Wolverine, but you can only have 1 stack of it. Now, this is where the champion gets pretty good, right? So critical hits lacerate the opponents. So X-23's one still have a 75% chance to deal 98% of your attack over 5 seconds. So it's 0.5 seconds longer. So the bleed is actually stronger per tick, which is pretty crazy, considering also it's 98% of your attack as opposed to 80%, and it's also a 75% chance. So overall, the numbers are just so much better. But what really makes this champion crazy is that against bleed immune champions, so we're talking like Vision, Ultron, who else is bleed immune? Like all the robots of the game, pretty much. Instead of you know, the bleed being completely useless, she actually converts it into a stacking buff called Cruelty, which increases her critical damage by 28% for 7.5 seconds. So every time you crit, you're going to just crit harder and harder, and it's pretty easy most of the time when you're fighting a bleed immune champion to reliably have anywhere between 5 and 7 stacks of this. So it's a huge chunk of additional crit damage for those opponents, you know, that aren't affected by bleed. So yeah, that is a really cool addition to the champion, and I like that, you know, Kabam have made this champion. Also, you know, instead of like most of the bleed immune champions, most of the champions that bleed when they fight bleed immune champions, they're really gimped. However, X-23 has this mechanic, so she's just great at fighting those as well. So to make this champion even more insane, she has a 5.5 increased critical hit chance against any targets that are bleeding, or while she's under the effect of a cruelty buff. So that's pretty much a passive 5.5% more crit chance, which is crazy good. And also on her special attacks, if you proc a bleed or a cruelty from them, that effect lasts 23% longer and is 23% more potent. So the bleeds that she does, especially from her level 2, are just absolutely crazy. So in my Deadpool X-Force Awakening video that you're going to see a little bit later on the channel, I fight this 5-star X-23, and it just hits me with the tail end of its level 2 attack, and that alone, the bleed was absolutely insane. It took about 50% of my health, and that was 1 stack of the bleed. And when you're fighting with this champion, usually you have like 5 to 7 stacks up, so it's just absolutely ridiculous. And then also on her heavy attacks, not that I really use heavy attacks much, she strikes the enemy multiple times. Each hit has an additional 7% chance to critically hit, so that is pretty good. That is pretty good. So guys, that is pretty much it for the comparison of the champions. Wolverine is your better and more sustainable option. X-23 just crazy for the damage, but then again, her synergies are a lot worse, and she does have a bit of a weaker regen effect when she's duped and can't gain the benefit from the multiple stacks of possible regen that Wolverine has. But then again, she does have you know, regen, which is trickling in a little bit of health, but you know, it isn't too potent if you don't have, you know, the signature ability to yet again increase the healing and allow you to have multiple stacks up at once. But again, it is a nice bonus to making this champion a little bit more sustainable. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this quick comparison video of Wolverine X-23 versus the original Wolverine. If you enjoyed it and want to see more awesome Marvel Contest of Champions content, feel free to hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, leave a like. I would really appreciate that, guys. Apart from that, I'll see you on the next video, guys. Take care and have an absolutely fantastic day.